So I think I'm going to begin with Mike. How did this whole series come about?
Trying to watch.
Well, it all started actually about 10 years ago when I was on a mountainside in Africa filming a very famous man called Sir David Attenborough. There was a series about Africa, and he stood there and he said, "Nowhere on earth does wildlife put on a greater show," which is Africa, which is kind of true. We finished filming and I thought, I wonder if that's always been true. I thought, maybe the time when it was at its most amazing was when dinosaurs were walking across those mountains. So I thought, what if I could take everyone in that mountainside, the camera teams, the camera gear, Sir David, put them all into a time machine and take them back 66 million years ago and make a wildlife film about those dinosaurs. So that was when I started thinking about that. But of course, it's not that easy to do. So a few years went by, we got thinking about it, thinking of some of the stories, and then I met somebody who could help, John. And we met in an office in London, and we were talking about lions, but we had a kind of meeting of the minds about our approach to wildlife. And I suddenly realized this is the person who had the keys to that time machine. So once we had the time machine, we were off, and that's how Prehistoric Planet got made.
Wow. John, did you feel the same way when you met him?
Yeah, sorry. How's that? You all right? It's not Apple, it's Shure. That's why. Yeah, I had been working on Jungle Book and Lion King, and we were studying Planet Earth and all the documentaries that these guys had worked on. And we were trying to figure out how in CGI and with computers to make our artificial animals look as good as what they were doing on those documentaries, because we felt that that was kind of the state of the art for nature photography. And so we studied what they were doing. So when we finally got together, I showed Mike some on an iPad. And I'm not just saying that because we're the Apple Store, on an iPad. I showed him some of the early renders of the lions that we were doing, and explained to him how inspired we were by their work. And so when the prospect of trying to create a fake, real documentary about dinosaurs came up, we had all these tools and all these great artists that we had been working with on those films. And with everything we had learned from that and coming together with this concept, I thought was going to be just a great idea. And it's been about 2-3 years. We've been working for a long time on this. And I'm so happy that we're going to be able to share it with everybody, because I think we really pulled off the illusion.
That's incredible.
Yeah!
So we had you and we had Mike. Now, Tim, as the series producer, how did you get this whole party started?
Well, you know, when you've got the creative genius of Mike and the creative genius of John, they have these crazy ideas, and we had to get together a whole group of filmmakers, so wildlife filmmakers from the BBC Natural History Unit, that have been making wildlife films for the last 60 years or so. And so we got a whole group of them together. We got the best VFX people on the planet together with them as well, from NBC. And then we wanted to make sure the dinosaurs were the most accurate, not just in how they looked, but how they behaved. And we thought we needed our very own Dr. Dinosaur to come and join us and show us the way that we now want to portray the dinosaurs, and that's what we put Darren in.
Wow, you have the best job ever. What was your job? What is your job on the set? Tell us.
I'm lucky enough to have been able to study dinosaurs. I went to university and actually became a doctor of dinosaurs in about 2006. I worked on a new dinosaur from southern England and combined that technical research with work on kids' books. I've done loads of kids' books on dinosaurs. I've written a lot of popular stuff on dinosaurs that you can find online. If you're Googling about, looking for information on dinosaurs, you'll find things that I've done on dinosaur behaviour, what they look like in life, and as a consequence, if people are looking to make a cutting-edge TV series about these animals, I'm one of the people that they sort of bump into, and I'm very lucky I was interviewed for this position and ultimately successful in becoming part of the Prehistoric Planet team. So, wow.
Darren's our expert, our dinosaur expert. He was on all the calls with us as we were looking and designing them. As a matter of fact, he knows everything about dinosaurs. Young man, you in the green, could you walk up here for a second? Do you mind? Now I want you to turn around and show everybody your shirt, and I'm going to put you on the spot now.
Yeah!
Come over here now, and I want you to identify each of these skeletons.
Come on, no pressure at
Right here.
all.
This one,
Wow.
right with this one up here.
We've got Pteranodon, the pterosaur. We've got a brachiosaur, which I'm going to say is Giraffatitan, or Brachiosaurus. We've got Tyrannosaurus, a Stegosaurus, and we've got the New York specimen of Triceratops down there. So that's an awesome t-shirt. Thank you.
Yeah!
That feels like a moment for us to have another bit of our quiz. Is everybody ready? All right, this one's going to be multiple choice. All right. So this is another one about T-Rex. T-Rex lived on the coast, and of course that's a great place to find food. But what adaptations might have helped T-Rex hunt on sand and in the water? Okay, there's three choices. A, giant feet. B, air-filled bones. C, both. Okay, those who think it's giant feet, raise your hand. Giant feet? Air-filled bones? B? No? All right, what's C? Both. All right, these people already know all about dinosaurs. Tell us a little more about that.
Well, Tyrannosaurus rex, really interesting animal because it was found over such a huge part of western North America, from close to Mexico in the south all the way to Canada in the north. In some places it would have lived in coastal environments, it would have been an animal hanging around on beaches, and one of the things that means that it was probably pretty good at swimming was it did have air-filled bones, but it did also have these giant, thickly padded feet, which would have been really good at spreading its weight. So yeah, the answer is both. It's C.
Very good, very good. They already knew it. Okay, so let's discover maybe a few more dinosaurs. Let's take a peek right here.
The southern fox, which infests his coat. They're irritating and even painful, and while his huge claws enable him to have a good scratch, there are always some spots that are just out of reach. To get to them, he needs assistance. A dead tree. That could be the answer. That's much better.
Yeah!
Unbelievable. I feel like I'm really there with them.
Mike has the same TV in his house.
What's the name of that one?
So this animal is Dinokairos, and
Dinokairos.
Dinokairos. So the names, the scientific names for dinosaurs and other animals as well, they generally mean something. So when this animal was first found in the late 1960s in Mongolia, it was only known from its arms. And each arm, including the hand, was about 8 foot long, just the arm. So the scientists who named it came up with the name Dinokairos. Dino means terrible, not as in really bad, but as in awesome. And kairos means hand. So this animal's name means terrible hand, like awesome hand, because these 8 foot long arms. And later on they found the rest of it. They got, a good part of the skeleton of this animal now. Dinokairos.
All right, let's see if we can say it. What do we think? All ready? Let's say it. Dinokairos.
Virus.
Let's do it together. 1, 2, 3.
Dinosaurs.
See, now you know more than all your other friends. We'll have to tell them all about it. That's so much fun. So, what you told me what is so significant about that one. Let's try one more. You ready? Let's see. Dinosaurs, this is true or false. Maybe you can jump in at any time.
Okay.
Dinosaurs always fought over water sources,
True.
with the victors claiming territory. Hands up if you agree with this guy. Yeah? Hands up if it's false. Ooh, going against the grain. Well, guess what? It's false. Rivers were places for dinosaurs to eat and wash and drink, but also they were places for them to come together and meet. Sometimes they'd fight over the water, but not always. They also met their partners there. Pretty cool. Tim, I know something else happens with this one. Tell us about it.
Yeah, what you don't see is that there's another bit to this clip. And just like everybody here, whether you're big or small, Dinosaurus needs to poop. And we were lucky enough to film Dinosaurus pooping. And although Dinosaurus wasn't available, we needed to get some extra shots. So we made our own dino poop. And
What did you make it out of? Do you want to tell us?
it was made out of everybody's favourite things. It was made out of spinach and coconut milk and Marmite. Does everyone know what Marmite is? And peanut butter. So it was completely edible if you wanted to eat it.
Unfortunately, we don't have any here today. We were trying to
Good.
set out. Yeah, they want those.
Okay, how big was that poop?
Oh, it was a big poop, a big old poop. This big.
Wow.
What was interesting about this topic is that created the opportunity for us to have scenes around water sources and watering holes that are not unlike what you see in Africa now with all different species, both predator and prey. And so as we put together sequences that were around these water sources, it allowed us to bring all sorts of different species together and show them interacting with one another. And it was that animal behavior that was really our inroad to this, because dinosaurs are always treated like big monsters. They're always yelling and fighting and big teeth and claws, and sometimes they did. But most of the time, just like in the animal kingdom today, they're learning how to cohabitate, work with each other, work around each other, and coexist. And that was honestly the part that felt very unique to this than any other dinosaur project that I have seen before.
It's also worth saying about how we filmed it. So the most exciting things that happen in animal world, we often film in slow motion. And of course, we filmed Dinosaurus pooping in slow motion. So when you see that, you're going to see that poo come out in every single element of detail in slow motion.
Oh, I love that. My favorite emoji. The poop. All right, so one more test question. We'll keep going. All right, this one is about not poops, but what dinosaurs eat. So this one is about, what is this? How do you pronounce this?
Okay, this is it's a sauropod, and it's a kind of sauropod called Ostro-Poseidon. So, can you say sauropod?
Sauropod.
Sauropod.
And it's a sauropod called Ostro-Poseidon.
Ostro-Poseidon. Let's do it all together. Sauropod.
Ostro-Poseidon.
All right, I was going to be a quiz at the end of this. All right, so we have one more question here, and that is a true or false. Here we go. The sauropod
Ostro-Poseidon
ate for 16 hours out of every day. True or false? Well, those that said true are correct. The Ostro-Poseidon, a sauropod, needed more than half a ton of food daily. That's a lot. That's a lot of food.
A lot of poop.
They needed that much food to support their size, right? How big were they?
Yeah, Ostro-Poseidon is one of the biggest sauropods. It's about 80 foot long. How does that compare to this building?
So if I'm correct, from that wall to that wall is 60 feet. And how big was it?
82 feet long.
That's a big creature. You could all be in its stomach right now. It's a vegetarian. Okay, so let's think about what is your favorite dinosaur?
Me? Oh,
Oh, there's one. What is it?
Brachiosaurus.
And what is that one?
Brachiosaurus is an awesome dinosaur. It's a sauropod with a giant long neck. So that's a cool, very cool animal.
Yeah.
My favourite dinosaur, as seen in Prehistoric Planet, is Therizinosaurus, which is a member of the same group as dinosaurs like Dinosaurus and Velociraptor. It's a feathery dinosaur. It's a big one. It's about the same size as Tyrannosaurus Rex, so it would be about 30 feet long. It had a long neck and a relatively small head, and its teeth showed it was probably a leaf eater, but its most amazing feature, Therizinosaurus has 3 long claws on its hands, and these claws are about 3 feet long each. They're the longest claws ever in the entire history of life.
Wow. That's a big wow. All right, John, what's your favorite?
I'll say today, because it changes a lot. Because of what we learned about them when we rendered them, and because they don't seem like dinosaurs at all, Mononychus, I'll say. It's covered with feathers, almost looks like a bird if you were looking at it quickly, but it very much is a dinosaur, and it's named after Mononychus, which means a single claw, right? And it used it to cut its way into dead trees and such, or dig up its prey. But it was a very attentive little critter, and I really have grown to like it because of the way it's depicted in the show.
That is incredible. All right, guess what? Should we see a clip about this creature? Let's do it.
Yeah.
Mononychus is a desert specialist. Such hypersensitive directional hearing gives her a mental map of this hollow log and what lies within. She now uses the rhythm that gives this hunter its name. Mononychus. Single giant toes. Just what she needs to open the termite's nest. And she has another special piece of equipment. A flexible tongue twists the length of her head. An excellent protein-packed meal, if only termites weren't quite so irritating.
Woo!
Tell me, how did you get Sir David Attenborough involved, and what he really brought to it? I know it draws me right in.
Well, hearing David Attenborough's voice really makes it feel real to me. And of course, in the United States, we've come to know him through the Planet Earth documentaries, and for those of you who have been fans and watching the British programming over the years, you're even more aware of him. But in the UK, he's somebody that they've really grown up with and come to know since childhood. I was very lucky to work with these gentlemen on my left, especially Mike, who had a relationship with him from having recorded him for all those documentaries that I had enjoyed so much. So at the prospect that Sir David Attenborough might get involved, it wasn't like you just book him through an agent. He's somebody who takes very active interest in the science of the programs, and he's very, if he wants to do it, he'll do it, and if it's not something that he's excited about, he certainly has other things to do right at this point in his life. And so we really was looking forward to reaching out to him. Of course, we had to get a certain amount of the work done to be able to show it to him. And Mike is probably a better person to explain how it all went down, because I was hearing it all secondhand through Mike Gutton.
it was probably the most nerve-wracking thing of the whole series, because as John says, David has such high standards, and this is a very tricky project to do. In fact, John used to ask me every week, and I used to dread that moment because I said, well, I think it's not quite right yet. We need to just get a bit further on. Anyway, eventually, the only way was to take a finished film, and I went up and showed it to him, and I also had a lot of science documents that Darren and the team had put together. And I just had the documents that supported just one sequence. I had to have a whole carry bag with so much information. Anyway, we sat him down, we watched the program, I didn't say a word, I was sitting thinking, please, and at the end of it, he turned to me, left a very theatric pause. Do you know, I don't know how you could have done it any better. And my blood pressure went from there, and of course, the first thing I did, get on the phone to John and say, he's going to do it. And it was a huge relief, because as John said, I mean, David not only brings the authenticity of his extraordinary knowledge, but also it's part of the grammar that we were trying to do. These are marvels. We're trying to make them feel and appear, and they're filmed like making a marvel. So this is kind of planet Earth, 66 million years ago. So David's voice is the last ingredient that gives it that authenticity, to make it that planet Earth 66 million years ago.
That's incredible. Wow. Tim, I know that when you were out on location, it wasn't all fun and games, was it?
Well, I mean, I've got to say I've got the best job in the world. I mean, Darren thinks he's got a good job, but I get to work with all of these guys, and they get to come and see all of you guys and show you what we've made, which is, fabulous. But we went all over the world to film this, and filmed quite a lot in the States, and when we were filming in the deserts for some of these sequences, we got dust storms coming through, we got tornadoes whipping around the area. And then when we went to Africa, we had venomous snakes encounter us. When we were filming for the Ice Worlds episode, we were filming at -20, -30. It was freezing. So just because we went back in a time machine doesn't mean we didn't face the conditions that we really do when we're making these kind of documentaries.
Wow, venomous snakes. Who likes snakes? Nobody?
And for those of you who are curious about it, part of what you're going to see in the show is really, we think is pretty cool. But if you're curious about how he made it, and if you're curious about what the science is for how he came up with the conclusions that the animals would look like this or act like this, there's also going to be accompanying content that shows behind the scenes view, explains the science and why we feel that all of this is plausible based on the latest science. Dr. Darren Naish here is one of our experts that speaks up on behalf of how we got to this point. So it's sort of interesting, I find, to see how imaginative a lot of the sequences seem, but then it's even cooler when you realize that there's a tremendous amount of the latest science research and discoveries that are being made up to this day. And every time a new discovery happens, it changes the way we interpret everything. And so what you're about to see here is pretty much, is it fair to say, Darren, it's the latest science as
The cutting edge, John. Cutting edge, the bleeding edge.
Wow, that's incredible, for sure. I can't wait to see it. How about you guys? You excited?
Yeah!
Alright, so we have a couple more questions here. Let me think. Okay. We know that there are some creatures still on this planet today that were back then. So we're going to talk about it. 2 questions for you. The biggest turtle alive in the Cretaceous,
Cretaceous, that's right.
Cretaceous?
That's correct.
Thank you. Cretaceous period. The archelon was, this is going to be multiple choice, was as big as A, a car, B, tractor, trailer, truck, or C, a school bus. All right, so who says A, a car? School bus. All right, A's. B, tractor, trailer, truck. No? All right, C, school bus. Ah, I see. So those of you who had school bus, all right, B, tractor trailer. So, what's the last one? It was as big as a car. The archelon turtle was massive. It was more than 13 feet long and it weighed 4,409 pounds. Pretty cool. All right, let's look at this one. What about the insects?